Ladies and gentlemen, Leafs fans and SDPN fans from all over, welcome to the highly anticipated premiere of Game Over Toronto. I won't lie, I was really nervous before we actually started the stream. But Matthews hit 60, dude!
Yeah. What
This
what a
made
what a
my
game to
night.
start on, eh?
Yeah,
What a
exactly.
game.
Honestly, we could have been served a nicer game to start on. And honestly, my night's already been made. Whatever happens after this is just extra. I don't even care anymore.
If only Marner, if only he hit 100, that would have been
So
so
close.
nice.
Hey, he has one more
Uh,
game though. He has one more game
yeah,
against Boston. Let's
yeah,
see
he
how that
does for
goes.
sure. Yeah.
Hey, before we start that, I think we should probably introduce ourselves. Like, there's a lot of people here. They probably are looking at us like, "Who the hell are these schmucks?" And why are they talking about the Leafs?
Yeah, it's funny because when Dangle and SDPN announced that the show was going to happen, we saw speculation about who was hosting, and I was just thinking to myself, these guys are going to have no idea who we are. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, let's get into it. Well, my name is Harnish Patel, and the guy beside me, that way, is Armaan. He's my best friend. We've known each other for like 10 years now. But
Yeah.
about me, I'm a computer engineering student. I'm from Queen's University. Shout out to my Queens guys. I've been it's my fifth year. Yeah, it's my fifth year. So I'll give you a little background about myself. So I was introduced to the Leafs, um, from my school teachers. I had some great teachers growing up, Miss Kovacic and Mr. Newbrand. So Miss Kovacic,
Drop some names.
yeah, dude. Honestly, these guys are legends. I'm gonna shout them out. Um, yeah, she would always talk about the Leafs. She had a huge crush on Matt Sundin. It was the funniest thing ever. Every day after class, I'm gonna marry Matt Sundin. Don't worry about it. And then Mr. Newbrand was one of the keepers of the cup, so I actually got a picture with the cup back in like grade 7, I believe. So that's what really introduced me with the Leafs. And yeah, how about you?
Yeah, my name's Armaan Panthaki. I graduated from McMaster in mechatronics engineering last May. So, perfect time to enter the workforce in the middle of a pandemic. I currently work full time as an engineer. I've been a Leafs fan for a very long time, longer than I can even remember. It was around 2002 when my family kind of got swept up in the whole hockey culture in Canada, because you had the Salt Lake City Olympics where Canada won gold. And then you also had the Leafs going to the Eastern Conference Finals run that year. And so, the next year I was enrolled in hockey classes, I was doing skating classes, and my fandom was kind of up and away. Our childhood bedroom was painted blue and white, and we had the Leafs banner around it. So from then on, it was, all Leafs all day. And, little did my 5-year-old brain, know that the Leafs would then crash and burn for 20 years. But it's good now. So we're back, Uh, can't stay too negative about it. Yeah, it's great. I love the Leafs. Yeah, this is a dream come true too. We've been following Steve,
Oh,
Dangle for
dude.
like 10 years as well. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. Yeah.
I still can't believe today. This morning, I woke up and I pinched myself, and I'm like, "Is this a dream? Like, there's no way." We've been watching these guys for so long, and to finally be able to just like work with. I've never even dreamt of this, but this is the wildest experience, and I'm so excited. I'm so happy to have you guys on here. Um, we hope we make you guys proud, but let's get into the episode. And let's get into the game, man.
Yeah.
Um, this was a huge game. Apart from Matthews, which stole the headlines where he scored his 60th goal. This has a lot of implications for the playoffs, right? Like in
Yeah.
this game, since we won, we secured home ice advantage, which is huge. It's pivotal. It's important for the Leafs, right? And
Yeah.
regardless of who we play, whether it's Boston or Tampa, home ice is always going to be good. So, what did you think about this game, though?
Yeah, like you said, it was an important game. Clinching home ice was huge for us, and you also got to consider that Tampa's opponents from here on out were Columbus, New York Islanders, none of which
Mhm.
are playoff teams, right? So it was feasible that they get 3 wins out of that, and we had Detroit and then in Boston
Boston,
on
yeah.
Friday. And if we didn't win this game, I would actually be kind of sweating that, like, maybe we don't clinch home ice, but we did. We pulled it off, and we did it in a dominant fashion.
Mm.
They didn't get like any chances in this
Yeah.
game, maybe some on the power play, but for the most part, if you go on like Money Puck, the deserve to win meter has us at like 93%. And it makes sense. We dominated straight from the get-go. And I know we only scored, late into the second, but 5 minutes into this game, the Leafs were clearly ahead of the Detroit Red Wings here. And, looking at the lowest expected goal share out of all of our players, it was Abruzzese at 65%. It was dominant. Like there's nothing bad I could say. Campbell got a shutout, and it's not even a story because he barely got any shots on net. Like it was an incredible effort from the Leafs. And it's something that I was looking forward to, because our last couple games, especially the Capitals game, our defensive structure was a bit lacking. We gave the Capitals a few open lanes and they scored off of them. So it was nice to see that defensive structure, specifically, clogging the net, blocking shots. We kept possession pretty much the whole game. We were controlling most of the play. And then, Matthews just steals the show. That 60th goal is the quintessential Matthews goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like wrist shot at the top of the circle, snipe, just complete snipe show. And, when he scored that, I just thought back to, his draft year and when we got him, how happy I was. And then realizing that I should have been so much happier because I didn't even foresee how good he was.
Hey, let me tell you one thing.
Who could have predicted this? It's
exactly.
Insane.
But it gets better. He's only 24, dude. He's going to get better.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? That's the wildest part. I'm pretty sure he's younger than you.
He's 97. He's
97.
No. I think he's born like 3 days before me or something.
3 days before? Okay.
2 days before me. I'm September 19th, 97. He's 17. So, we've definitely had parallel lives, I'm
of course.
definitely making $11
Steve
million.
Dangle versus the Leafs, SDPN. Yeah.
I got my dream gig, he got his. We're good. We're good. Yeah, but that 60th goal was absolutely great. And the 59th as well. You could see the pure jubilation on his face. He was looking
so
for
happy. Especially on the bench.
Night.
The camera caught him. He was trying to hide the smile, but you could see the smile underneath it. Don't try to hide it.
Yeah, exactly, right? You could tell he was happy. You could tell everyone was happy for him. They were looking for him all night. It was kind of like that 50th goal where he kind of got 8 shots before he potted one in the net. Yeah, and it's clear that everyone knew it was going to him. And eventually he would get it. And eventually he did. And I'm really glad that he did in this game. So we, weren't sitting on the edge of our seats and against Boston, hoping he would get it. And, even now, maybe he might get rested, we'll see. But what an incredible game from him. The MVP chance, what a beauty.
Oh, it was great.
What a beauty. He deserves it. He deserves so many goals. He deserved 5 goals today. He was killing it. Yeah.
And it's coming off of already an historic season, right? He's already eclipsed and became our highest goal scorer in the regular season for the Leafs, right? And he's one of 3 60 goal scorers in the salary cap era. He's in historic company right now.
Yeah, Stammer in 2012 got 60. OV had 65, I think, in 2005 or 6 or one of those. It hasn't been done in 10 years. 2012 was 10 years ago. So that might make you feel old, but 2012 was 10 years ago. It hasn't been done in 10 years. It is historic, and it's especially historic for the Leafs. Our franchise goal leader was 54 in a season, and he's at 60, and he missed time. And that's crazy.
He's also 6 games under Draisaitl as well, right? Yeah. So the fact that he's I believe he's 4 or 5 goals ahead of Draisaitl now at this point.
I mean, he has the Rocket. He has the Rocket clinched.
Oh yeah, opinion, and I would argue even the Hart at this point.
Yeah, and I think he has the Hart exactly. Yeah. You don't put up a season like this and don't win Hart. You know what I mean? It was a crazy game, and also not to be lost here, because obviously the 2 Matthews goals are amazing, but that Tavares goal was a thing of beauty. That Nylander play where he knew Tavares would get lost in front of the net, and then he did that spinorama pass. That was crazy. I love it. This game was just everything that I wanted out of a game. We got the Campbell shutout. Matthews got the only thing that was missing was Marner getting at least a point or 2 to get him closer to that 100. Miles.
He has one more game, but 3 more points. He's off by, but I mean, and just remember, this is also an important game where Muzzin finally came back into the lineup. Right, he missed quite a significant portion of time, and this whole season he's missed time. I believe he's sitting at just over 45 games played in the season. Right. So seeing him come back and play like he didn't miss a step. He played phenomenally this game, and this is just instilling a lot of confidence in the team, instilling a lot of confidence in Sheldon Keefe. And I was so happy to see how he was see him play. What did you think of in terms of his play this game?
Yeah, it was really good. He jumped up, pinched a few times that, on good plays that kept the puck in the zone. He back checked pretty well. His skating looked better than it has all season to me, from an eye test at least. He also had that beautiful drive to the net in the first period and got a solid backhand shot off. He just played really well. He drew a penalty as well. And that's nice to see because, in my opinion, he hasn't really been himself this season, and he
Mhm.
missed a lot of time from injuries and stuff like that. And in the limited minutes we've seen him with Brody, he's been really good. Like before this game, they had 136 minutes together. He had a 62% they had a 62% expected goal share, a 60% goal share, which is, was leagues better than he had with Hall.
Mhm.
Like with Hall, their goal share was 42%. And I know a lot of that is, dependent on the goalies and luck and a lot of the times, but they had a lot of boneheaded plays when they were playing together and they didn't really look all that good. So it's nice to see him with Brody, getting that sort of chemistry. And like everyone with Brody, does well because Brody's a great defenseman. He's one of the most, you know, like he's just a force out there in terms of being super steady and always giving his partner the best possible option. And again, Jake Muzzin today 84% expected goals, and he looked fantastic. It didn't look like he missed a beat. With that being said, Boston's going to be the real test for him. Detroit's not exactly a playoff contender. They've been out of it for quite a while now, so I'm curious to see how he does against Boston because, with the playoffs coming up, we don't have a lot of time to ramp up for Jake Muzzin. So,
Mhm.
it's a really good step. And I love what I'm seeing with him and Brody, but I want to see what he does with Boston in there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And an interesting question, right? So now we have four guys. We have Gio, we have Muzzin, we have Riley, and we have Sandine.
Yeah,
Um,
all
and
on
we
that
have
left side.
exactly, and we only have three options, right? So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see, I guess, like what we kind of what Sheldon keeps ends up doing with this line, right? And what he does with our defensemen. Um, in my opinion, you can't move Riley. Obviously, he's been our best defenseman in the whole season, right? So Riley's untouchable. Gio has also been playing really well, especially with Liljegren. So you don't want to touch that line at all, right?
Yeah, they've been phenomenal. That the chemistry with that Gio Lilligren pairing
Yeah,
is insane. Like,
exactly.
they have limited time together, but you can't split them up. I don't think anyone's really going to do that at this
Yeah.
point.
So at that point, you kind of have to look at either Muzzin or Sandine, right?
Yeah.
And after this monster game from Muzzin, I don't think there's any doubt that you give Muzzin the benefit of the doubt. Like, yeah, he had some issues at the beginning of the season. Yeah, injuries have been a conversation for not only this season, but the last two playoffs he's had injuries, right? But the veteranship, the experience, and just a year ago he was our best defenseman on our team, right? So I give him the benefit of the doubt. I really want to see him slot in. But what do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough like situation to navigate here because firstly, Muzz and Sandine are sort of different styles of players, so it sort of depends on what you need. But my concern with Muzzin this year has always been sort of injury troubles, and he's on the wrong side of 30. It raises some concerns about his foot speed, which has been lacking throughout the entire year, and that kind of caused some defensive lapses in terms of we saw him in previous games where he got caught flat-footed and it didn't look like he was skating comfortably. And so that there's a bit of concern with that because the playoffs are obviously a much heavier and faster game. And I'm kind of concerned as to what he is right now in
Mhm.
terms of the injuries he's had in the past playoffs affecting him,
Yeah.
because it's been a long road for him. And so that's a bit of a concern for me. But on the flip side, Sandine he's still really young. He hasn't really had much experience in the playoffs. In my
Mhm.
opinion, his advanced stats, along with my own eye test, show that like he's kind of been the better player this season out of the
Definitely.
two, but he's
Mhm.
also been more sheltered.
Mhm.
And on top of that, a big problem for us throughout the entire year was, clogging up that net front. And moving guys from that position so that our goalies had an easier time, so for me, that's the whole reason we brought Lyubushkin in. And Sandin sometimes could get bullied in front of the net. So
Yeah,
in a
he's a
playoff,
small defenseman, right? At the end of the
yeah,
day.
and in the playoffs, when you're up against a big team like Tampa or up against a big team like Boston, we're most likely going to face Tampa. But for either of them, I'm kind of worried that Sandin might get exposed. But at the same time, I'm also worried that Muzzin's skating might get exposed, or Muzzin's puck play compared to Sandin might get exposed. So it's a tough situation right now to navigate. I'm really curious to see what Keefe does, because I do think there's pros and cons to each player, and also injuries are going to happen.
Yeah.
There's no way whoever gets scratched, even Hall on the right side, because I think most people are expecting him to get scratched. They're probably going to get games. Muzzin himself has gotten injured in the past 2 playoffs. So at some point, Sandin's probably going to, even if he doesn't start, he's probably going to get a game in there, at least in the first round or something like that. You expect injuries to happen. So I'm not too concerned about who's in there first. At the end of the day, it's nice to have this problem rather than past problems where we're like, oh, we need to put Marincin in for like the 50th time because we don't have anyone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
yeah. You still have a game, right? Like you can realistically slot in Sandin
well,
against.
That's if he comes back.
If he does, he's still he's been out for 4 weeks, right?
Yeah, and Jonas Siegel did. I think report earlier today that it is likely he does come back for that Friday game, which makes me believe that like they're going to put Muzzin and Sandin in that game and probably rest one of Giordano or Riley, and it's probably going to be Giordano because he's like 40 years old. So it kind of makes sense.
He's still one of our best defensemen, though.
Yeah, he's fantastic. But I want to see how Sandin and Muzzin do in that situation, and play around with the pairings there.
And it's almost a good idea.
It'll be really interesting. And the other option, which I don't think we're ever going to pursue, is moving one of those guys to the right side and maybe, benching one of Lyubushkin or Liljegren. And I don't think we're going to do that because we tried Sandin on the right and it was just like abysmal. And then after that game, after that second game that we played Sandin on the right side, Keefe kind of came out and was just like, yeah, that's probably not happening again.
Yeah.
So, I kind of doubt that we're going to do that, but there is an option there. I don't think it happens.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think you really need to move anybody to the right side. You have Lyubushkin, who's pairing well with Riley right now. Brody, he plays well with anybody, right? He's been playing with Muzzin today. He's been playing great with Riley, and you don't want to move that Liljegren and Geo line, right? So that line's been working. So you don't really want to mess with something that's not broken, right? So why mess around with it? Just keep the lines how it is right now, and definitely getting Sandin some game time on Friday is going to be important, right? At least getting some confidence in him as well as in Sheldon Keefe, right? Making sure he understands that, hey, if injuries do happen, and like we said, Muzzin's been out the past 2 seasons with injuries, right? In the playoffs. There's at least another guy that can be slotted in there without any issues, and he can have some confidence in that player. But another,
But one more thing on that,
sure.
Riley and Lyubushkin, that's something that I think could be potentially moved, because I really like Riley with Brody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They played easily the most minutes out of any pairing the Leafs have set out, and they played last year, and they were super successful. And giving Riley someone like Brody is super helpful to his own game. And so for me, I'm okay with moving Bush to the third pairing and then not utilizing Muzzin Brody, and then maybe trying to find another pairing for him. But I can understand why we're going that way, because Muzzin's kind of had trouble with Hall, and I don't think he was that good with Liljegren either.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to pair him with Brody. And so I get why we do that. But I also think Riley Lyubushkin isn't the best first pair. Bush is probably best suited for that third pairing role.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
they have had time together, right? So it's shown that there is a possibility to move. Yeah, exactly. And they can, and it gives Sheldon Keefe some flexibility with his lines, right? He can move around players, play around with the lineup, which he has shown, especially the last couple of games. He's been playing around with lines pretty often, right?
yeah, for sure. But the defensive pairings are going to be very interesting come playoff time. I'm really excited to see Sandin hopefully come back next game and let's see what Muzzin can do as well, and then we can kind of see what happens in the playoffs.
Uh-huh. Another player that that really was fun and I was really rooting for was Nick Robertson. He's been
Yes,
tearing
sir.
up the AHL, man. With the Marlies, I believe he has what, 15 goals right now,
Yeah,
27 points in 26 games. He's
yeah.
played phenomenally, and he's played 9 games, I believe, this season with the Leafs. But he deserves way more. I was so excited to see him play today, and I thought he had a great game. Other than that boneheaded penalty where he kind of just
Where
swung
he
his finger and just
slashed
slapped
the
it.
guy straight in the helmet.
Yeah. Other than that, he had a great game, and
Yeah, he
I
did.
I kind of loved how he played today. How did you think he went?
Yeah, I thought he was kind of a spark plug on that line. You know, he's got that youthful exuberance and energy, and he got some decent chances and passes off there. The penalty was obviously a bad one to take. You know, you can kind of see some of the growing pains in his game. He's still just a little reckless out there with his stick and the way he kind of throws his body, and it's something that has gotten him injured in the past, especially in the NHL. You know, he's had injury troubles, and it's partly because he's just, you know, kind
He's
of,
a young player. He's only 20 years old, right? Like
yeah,
he's gonna make these stupid plays. He's gonna grow and get smarter over time, right?
yeah, for sure. And like, yeah, that's the thing. You know, after his 50 goal season in the OHL, I think a lot of people expected him to make the jump earlier, but you know, there's no point in rushing him. You
Mhm.
know, he's a good player. He will be a great player. There's going to be some growing pains with his game, and you know, I don't necessarily trust him to play in the playoffs. You know, this time unless there's, you know, quite a few injuries, but
Yeah.
he's clearly shown he can at least hang offensively with everyone else, and he played a great game today. Energy line. He was, or like he was an energy player. Um, yeah, he had some great plays. He was fast. He back checked pretty hard every time. You know, there's not much to complain about, but you can still see a lot of, you know, kind of growing pains in terms
Yeah.
of his positioning. You know, he's not always in the best position. He doesn't always have the right read per se on like a cycle play or something like that, in my
Mhm.
opinion. So there's some growing room there, but I was still impressed with what I've seen, and I think he's going to be super important for us in the future. You know, of this team. You know, and it's just a super good opportunity for him. You know, after, you know, he gets rewarded for being extremely productive on the Marlies in his run since
Which
his
is great
last.
to see.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, there's something interesting to note here with the Marlies is, you know, I'm not sure if people know where their season is right now. They're on the outside looking in to the playoffs, right? And if the Rochester Americans win their next game, which is on Friday, I think we need to win 2 out of our last 3 games just to
Yeah.
make the playoffs, right? So the Marlies play tomorrow and they play the day after. So if Nick Robertson played today, that means he's definitely not playing 3 nights in a row, even if he gets sent down. So he's not playing in one of those games. So the Marlies don't have arguably their best goal scorer on the team in the middle of a playoff race.
Mhm.
So, you know, my concern here, or not necessarily concern, just my like thought process is, was it more beneficial to bring Nick Robertson up and to play in this NHL game against the Detroit Red Wings where he could kind of get a feel and ramp up for the playoffs if he's needed in the NHL? Or would it have been more beneficial to keep him in the AHL for this, you know, last stretch and then make the playoffs
Yeah.
if they can, and then, you know, go and dominate the AHL playoffs? Because, you know, as a young kid, he's still got, you know, room to grow, and part of that is building this confidence. And I'm afraid that, like, you know, in the past few seasons we've been yo-yoing him up and down, you know, the Marlies to the Leafs, and I want him to get this sort of rhythm where he can just go and dominate a full season and then just come back the next season and make the team full time. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. I think it's an interesting point, right? But at the end of the day, I'm sure Nick Robertson also feels the same thing. He wants to be playing in the NHL. He wants to be playing for the Maple Leafs at the end of the day, right? And so getting this experience is obviously very, very important for his development, right?
Yeah.
How often are you going to be playing beside a player of Tavares's caliber in the AHL, right? So
Yeah.
getting
Yeah,
that kind
for
of
sure.
experience is important, and we got to remember they're suiting up for the playoffs, right? Injuries happen. I mean, look, just Bunton's out. Bunting got injured just 2 games ago, right? I believe he's
Yeah.
coming back for Boston, but
No,
pl-
he's not.
he's
They
not.
already confirmed he's not. Yeah,
Oh,
so
there you go. So
we're good to do
exactly, so
without him.
players get injured, right? And just having some players or some forwards in the backup positions where you can rely on them if injuries do happen is important. And I think
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
also important for him to get the confidence, but it's also important for Sheldon Keefe, right? Like we said with Muzzin coming up and with Sandine, right? It's the same thing where you want him to be comfortable with the players that he has, and if injuries do occur, which they definitely will, right? Being confident in your alternatives is definitely important, right? You want to
Yeah.
make sure he has the inherent chemistry, and he's building that chemistry while playing on the line with McKayev and
Yeah,
Tavares right
dude,
now.
that line dominated.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
top two lines, like well, every line dominated. Like I said, the lowest
Yeah.
we had was a 65%
And
goal share.
albeit you are
But
playing against the Red Wings, but still,
but
great.
Robertson, yeah, 86% expected goals on that line. Yeah, they were crazy good.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it's good to see, especially, given the last Red Wings game fiasco that was like 10-7 where we blew a 7-2 lead. I'm just glad that didn't happen. So yeah, I don't think Robertson will see a playoff game unless there are injuries and but otherwise like he's showing a lot of improvement, especially, just in the AHL from last season to this season, he's improved pretty drastically in his
Oh
production.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
in my opinion, like that's what I want to see. I want to see that marked improvement every single year until he can make the NHL. And the Robertson family clearly has some good genes because Jason Robertson is absolutely amazing in the NHL. So if Nick Robertson can be that type of player, obviously he's a lot smaller, but if he can be that player who's this like prolific goal scorer, we're set.
Mhm.
Left wing is such an important position for us because we're so weak on it. So guys like Nick Robertson and Matthew Nyes coming into their own, as we've seen in these past few years, and they're second rounders, is such important work for us.
Yeah, and that's a testament to our drafting as well, right?
Yeah, and
Divas has done a
like
great job.
it's going to be huge for us in the future. And yeah, so I'm really, really
Yeah,
hyped for Nick Robertson, next year and the year after, especially, you know, as, along with Matthew Nyes and the other guys we have in our pipeline.
it's going to be important, like literally next year. Yeah, because just remember, we have Jack Campbell, we have Bunton. These guys are all coming on. They all need new contracts, right? So they're going to get paid.
Bunting's signed next year, still 900K, the best offseason
Okay, there you
signing.
go. All right, but Jack
What an
Campbell's
absolute
still
beauty.
exactly, yeah. So there's still players that need to be signed. Having
Yeah, so
these
entry level
small
contracts.
exactly.
Yeah,
These
they're
are
very
important
helpful.
for a championship team, right? And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, the next game is also going to be pivotal, right? We're playing against Boston, and I'm more excited to see if Marner can finally hit 100.
Yeah, well, Matthews hit 60, so we can
Yes,
kind of get that out of the way.
that's one
Marner
check. One check. We have two.
needs 3 points, and there's something that I want to bring up, and I know my answer to this, but I'm curious what you think. And I know some people will obviously differ here, right?
Mhm.
With the recent set of injuries in our games, with Bunting going down, you saw Ovi go down, for the Caps when we played them last game. And on top of that, the fact that last time we played Boston, 3 of our players went down. Like Mrazek is still out. Labushkin missed time. And who else was it? I think Hall missed time with the shot to the face or a shot to the head. From a missed risk mitigation perspective, is it really worth it to risk these guys getting these personal milestones if it really doesn't affect the team, since we already got home ice advantage? Like
I
nothing
see
can
what you
change
mean.
now. You know what I mean?
So that's a good question, right? But I think if you talk to the players, they want to be out there, right? I understand sometimes players are too, I guess, like stubborn for their own good, right? And they want to always be out there, but I don't think Marner's going to be too happy if you just let him, or if you don't give him an opportunity to even try to get that 100, right? So I think having them, the mental game is really important in the NHL, right? And having them happy and excited and on fire going into the playoffs is going to be key. It's going to be pivotal, right? Um, so I think you let him have it.
Yeah,
You can shelter
and
his minutes a little bit, right? Just make sure he's not overexerting himself. But I think you should still go out there, let him have a game, let him play, and let him try to get 100, like we did with
I
Matthews today.
100% agree. And it's clear that the organization cares about these players getting these milestones too,
You
and I
see
think they
Dubas
should.
cheering as well
Yeah,
for
yeah,
Matthews.
exactly. Dubas
So
clearly
great.
smiling and happy about it. Personally, I also think there's like, as much as it is a risk mitigation for your physical ability or physical, condition, there's also the mental condition, and there's this mental
Exactly.
game, and you want to go into the playoffs feeling as confident as possible. And for us, that means these guys hitting these milestones.
Mhm.
And there's stuff I would change. Like, I don't think I would put Marner on the PK tomorrow, or
Yeah.
sorry, not tomorrow, next game.
Uh-huh.
Because like, why, Kerfoot took a huge shot today, and he looked like he was in pain. I don't want that to happen to Marner. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, that's risky for the sake of nothing to me. But it's funny because as we were talking, David Alter posted the post game comments, and Matthews on getting 60 said it's a pretty special moment. It sends chills through your bones. So he clearly. Yeah, and it does. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy he got it. I'm happy that, we're sitting here talking about Matthews getting 60 goals, like, that's insane. I'm sorry, who would have ever thought this would have happened? And we're watching the best Leaf of all time, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, it's wild.
Like,
And just
it's
remember, like if
crazy.
we try to shelter his minutes and try to get them rested, right? Before this game, he had a 5 game skid where he didn't get a goal in 5 games, right? So that was the longest he's longest skid he's had the entire season.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's feeling great right now, and it's probably a big burden and a big burden off of his shoulder, right? He's not
Yeah.
thinking about this anymore. He's like,
Yeah.
great, got the 60, let's move on, let's play,
And
let's gear up for
yeah,
the playoffs.
exactly. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, a lot of people will probably think that, like, personal these personal milestones don't matter because it's about the playoffs. And that's true, but that doesn't really negate it if you're happy that you got, like, it's off your mind. And
Mhm.
that's what kind of gets you to, focus and stuff like that. So to me, it can only be a good thing to hit 60, because now it's like, he's not searching for it,
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
could tell he was searching for it this game.
Yeah,
He
I mean,
wasn't
she's been
playing like he
searching for
was
it the
shooting
past couple of
everything.
games. Yeah,
Like,
like
everyone knew what was gonna happen anytime
exactly.
Matthews was on the ice. Every single Leaf would try to get him the puck, and he would just wire it, and it worked out. But like, having that, like when he hit 50, he just kind of exploded after that.
Yeah,
Because to me, it was like he hit 50, he hit the milestone. Now he's cooking, like he's ready, and I don't know if he like Matthews, I don't know if he plays next game. I don't see the point in that. I would only see
mm,
the point if he, because obviously he cares about Marner,
exactly. I think
So
that's what's
I
going to
think
drive
he
him to
might
play.
actually do play,
Yeah,
even
I
though
think so too. I think there's no doubt
you
because you
don't think
saw
there's a
how.
doubt. I'd like it.
No,
It's
no, no,
still
no.
pretty
Listen,
risky.
it is
It's
risky, but think about it, dude. When he got that goal, who's the one that came over to him and brought the puck to him?
Yeah, I mean,
It was
obviously
Marner.
they
They
love each
both
other.
care about each other. They're
I
both
know, but
linesmen.
dude, think
They
about, dude, if in game over on Friday,
uh
Matthews gets injured, I will slap you in the face. I will drive to your house and slap you in the face.
huh.
Like,
Hey, I'll take
think
it.
about that happening. I
But think
don't
about
want to even
this.
put
Think
that
about
thought in
this.
my head.
Marner and Matthews gets the 60. Marner gets the 100. They're both happy. They're both play well in the playoffs. Like, what better way to start the playoffs than hitting these milestones?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. The playoffs are going to be so fun. I'm so excited for them.
Hey,
Uh,
we got one more game though before the
yeah,
playoffs. You got
yeah,
a Boston game, and that's gonna be fun. I am
yeah,
so excited because
absolutely.
it feels like the team is gonna play free. Now I just hope that they're a little bit careful. You're right, because remember the last Boston game, right? There's been some cheap shots. There's been a little bit of grittiness, I guess you can say, a little bit dirty play here and there. So
Yeah,
be careful. I mean, we're all rooting for them,
I
and
mean,
we hope
do
that they
Boston
can hit some
play?
milestones.
Boston played today, right? Let me
Um,
check here.
yeah,
Yeah, I think they
check
did.
it out. But yeah, I think Boston played today. Edmonton played today. And Tampa's
Okay,
going
so
to be
yeah,
pretty soon.
Boston won, and Tampa also won. So there is still a race going on there. I think,
Yeah,
or yeah, there is still a race. I
there's a
think
race between those two.
Boston would have to win out, and Tampa would have to lose out now. So we're most likely going to face Tampa. But I'm curious, like, let's say Tampa loses and Boston has a chance to win in that last game that they face against us. They're going to be out for blood. You know what I mean?
Uh huh. Uh huh.
So
You think they're
Yeah.
gonna take it out on the Leafs?
No, I just mean they're gonna play well. They're gonna play hard if they can jump up a seed. You know what I mean? So we'll see
Yeah.
how it goes. Like we're not there yet, so we don't really know. But yeah,
That's something to keep an eye out on, right?
yeah, exactly.
It's a huge story going in, and yeah, we'll be excited to see what happens. But yeah, Friday's gonna be a huge game. I'm excited. The fingers crossed for Marner, man. Oh, I really want to see it so bad.
3 points in one game is really hard.
Yeah,
like,
but it's possible.
it's possible, but it's really hard. I don't
Matthews
know
just
if
needs
I
to
wanna
score
risk
another
it.
2 goals. Just get Marner to score 1 more.
I don't know if I want to risk it, man.
Oh man, it's gonna be a great game. But yeah, was there any final thoughts that you had on?
No, I just love that game. I'm very happy that this was the first game that we did, and it was a win, and it was a dominant win, because I didn't want to have my first job being a really disappointing loss where I would cry on stream.
You know what's funny? So I think the first Leafs game that I went to, again, I'm a poor, like, freshly out of college student, right? All right.
Yeah, we can't afford many Leafs
I
games.
can't throw away money like that. Okay, this jersey already cost me enough. This is a Centennial Classic jersey. Thank you. It looks great. Matthews number on the side. There you go. But yeah, the first game that I went to, I believe, we played against New York Islanders. Matthews got 2 goals, similarities, and it was a 7-1 win.
Oh,
okay.
Was it?
I'm pretty sure it was like 7-1 or 7-3, somewhere around there. I can check it up right now because I posted on my Instagram, and I was so excited about that. But 2 for 2, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great episode. Let me quickly look it up because I'm actually really excited. Yeah, it was a 7-1 win. Okay.
Beautiful.
So 2 goals by Matthews. Anderson robbing the Islanders. I'm not going to say one of them.
Did you see Steve's comment on the chat?
No, what did he say?
He said Marner's going to get 3 assists off Carl Dahlstrom and Joey Anderson goals. We're going to rest everyone but Marner, and then we'll put out the rest of the Marlies and hope he can get 3 points that way.
You wanted to see more of Nick Robertson, right?
Yeah, I would love that.
Exactly. But then what if? Listen, I don't want to hurt the Marlies. Okay? Those guys need to grow. Okay, you don't want to throw them for the Wolves.
Also, they need to make the damn playoffs.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed. This was a blast. I really enjoyed this, and yeah, like Armaan said, there couldn't have been a better game for our first episode. I am so happy. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We hope you guys accept us back with open arms, and we're here to grow. We're here to get better over time. And thank you to SDPN first of all for giving us an opportunity. Right, we're just 2 guys just love talking about hockey. We've been friends for like 10 years, and it's great to. It's still a dream come true, man. I'm getting speechless. It's a dream come true to see this, and yeah, we love it. Thank you guys so much.
And just like the Leafs are kind of ramping up for playoffs, we are too. So if you do have feedback, don't hesitate to put it in the comments. We will read them. We're not expecting it to be perfect right out of the get-go. So thank you guys for watching. It is genuinely a dream come true for us. So yeah.
You're talking about things going wrong. I mean, I think you didn't notice, but I left the graphic off for the first like 5 minutes. I forgot to turn the graphic on, but it's okay.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, we're good. Don't worry.
We're learning.
But yeah,
first one. Thanks guys for everything. This is a big game. Can't wait for the rest of the playoffs. Yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.